someone comes to me and they're like, yeah, I'm attracted to this person, but I realize either they're not good for me or they don't have the alignment of the goals or core values that I do. We don't like focus on how to deal with it. We focus on why you are so driven to win that person over. And we heal that, right? Because if you are continuing to chase someone who's not good for you or not in alignment with you, that's you trying to validate your own self-worth. And so then why don't you feel worthy enough? What data do you need to make yourself feel good enough? Right. So we work on things like self-worth, self-confidence. What pillars of support do we have outside of this one person? Because sometimes we don't leave someone because they've become the only source of love or friendship or community that we have. We don't have friends. We don't have activities. And this is something that men generally tend to do. They don't really make guy friends. They definitely really don't. I mean, they'll go to girls for problems, but having girlfriends is like also very rare, especially in adulthood. And so they'll go to work, they'll have their work buddies, maybe have some beers after work, but there's no closeness, there's no community, there's no depth. So men, we have this whole statistic about how men don't really leave marriages. Yeah, because they're so isolated. Where are they going to go? Who are they going to go to? There's no empathy for men. It's not just like when women leave and they can sleep on their friend's couch forever and then their mom's couch and then they have a whole community to support them. Like men don't have anything if they leave usually because they don't have depth in their relationships.
Wow. That is real. Because you do see that all the time. Like, what is it? The percentage of 70% plus is initiated by women in the divorce. And I'm sure like it's not like the marriages are happy on either side, but why don't the men initiate that action? And it is a lot of that isolation. I mean, me personally, I see a lot of men in the later stage of their lives where their family, like their wife is their best friend, and and the family is all they hang out with, and they got the couch and they got the TV, and that's kind of what we're working with. But that's beautiful that you said that, like, the sooner we could address it, then we could fix it. We could have those moments and all that. And also, I like how it's not. It's really understanding, like you're the approach of figuring out where it's coming from and then doing something about it.
Whenever we go out into these dating spaces, we try to look for red flags or green flags and all of these different like precursors to say, okay, how are they going to perceive me? Right? Yeah. How do I understand who they are? And instead of focusing so much on them, like stop making always the story about them. How do I impress the woman or how do I impress the guy? And turn it back around in yourself to how do I become so comfortable with myself and my story and who I am that I know and trust myself to stop when someone shows me red flags or to keep going when someone shows me green flags. There's a lot of information about what's a red flag, what's a green flag, depending on your experience in life. It's going to be a little different for you, what you get triggered on. So you have to assess your own self. Like, I think a lot of people are always asking those questions because they're always trying to say, okay, like, what if they don't like me? Or how do I know, if they're going to be good for me? And it's like, you have to assess yourself. How do you know if you can be strong enough to set boundaries? How do you what about if you just don't care if they judge you? Because there's going to be people that judge you for being vulnerable.
Yeah.
The goal is to say, okay, this person obviously doesn't have the emotional capacity I'm looking for, so it's not a fit. Yeah. And move on. But a lot of people see that and they go, oh my God, see, no women can handle vulnerability from men. It's so awful. I'm never going to say anything again. And it's just like you experience one emotional shutdown. Yeah, that person's not emotionally available. Move on to the next person. Don't shut down on yourself, right? And for women too, when women are going on dates with men, they're like, oh, he's a little bit distant from me and I don't know what to do. And I keep chasing him. Like, that's so crazy. That's so crazy. Like, use the facts that are given to you and stop putting your emotions into it. I think we put a lot of emotions into dating when we shouldn't.
The Self-Hype Podcast. Self-Hype Podcast.